"They're doing it again," Marcus muttered, his crystalline appendages clicking rapidly against the holoscreen. "These humans are absolutely manic. Look at them, rushing around like quantum particles in a destabilized field." Sarah, the station's behavioral analyst, floated closer to the display. "It's fascinating, really. According to our centuries of observation, they've been progressively increasing their speed of life. The correlation with their caffeine consumption is undeniable." The observation station, tucked away in a pocket dimension just adjacent to Earth's reality, had been monitoring human civilization for what humans would consider 3 centuries. What had started as a routine anthropological study had evolved into an increasingly concerned surveillance operation. "Did you know," Sarah continued, pulling up a holographic chart, "that the average human consumes 1,875 gallons of caffeinated beverages in their lifetime? The numbers have tripled in just the last century." Marcus waved his sensory tentacles in distress. "It's clearly a dependency issue. Look at this footage from something they call Monday morning. These poor creatures can barely function without their coffee ritual." The chief medical officer, Dr. Chen, who had been silently observing from their levitation pod, finally spoke up. "Perhaps we should consider this a medical emergency. As an advanced civilization, don't we have an obligation to intervene?" The room fell silent, save for the gentle hum of the dimensional stabilizers. "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" Marcus asked, his bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. "A complete extraction of their caffeine supply," Dr. Chen confirmed. "Our matter manipulation technology could easily handle it. We could save them from themselves." The 3 aliens gathered around the central holographic display, where countless screens showed humans in various states of caffeine consumption. A businessman gulping down his 4th espresso of the morning. A student pulling an all-nighter, energy drinks scattered across their desk. A line of cars wrapped around something called a drive-through, all waiting for their daily fix. "Look at their vital signs, Dr. Chen pointed out, pulling up biometric data. "Their heart rates are elevated, cortisol levels through the roof. They're literally burning themselves out with this stimulant dependency." Sarah, ever the analytical one, pulled up historical data. It started innocently enough. Tea ceremonies in ancient China, coffee houses in the Arabian Peninsula. But now, she gestured to a global consumption map, practically glowing with activity. "It's become a worldwide addiction." Marcus began pacing, his hover field creating gentle ripples in the station's atmosphere. "But how would we even begin to execute such a massive operation? We're talking about extracting every coffee bean, tea leaf, and synthetic caffeine molecule on the—" "I've been working on something," Dr. Chen said, bringing up a new holographic display. "A targeted matter extraction field, specifically calibrated to caffeine's molecular structure. We could remove it all in one synchronized sweep, leaving everything else untouched." "And what about their economy?" Sarah interjected. "The global coffee trade alone is worth billions in their current." "We'll leave equivalent monetary compensation in their financial systems," Marcus decided. "We're not trying to destroy their economy, just save them from their own excess." The planning continued for what humans would consider weeks. The aliens mapped every coffee plantation, tea field, energy drink factory, and caffeine processing plant. They calculated the precise molecular frequencies needed to extract different forms of caffeine, from natural to synthetic. They even developed a schedule based on Earth's rotation to ensure the extraction would happen during minimum consumption. "Think of it as an intervention," Dr. Chen said during their final briefing. "Sometimes the most advanced species must make difficult decisions for the benefit of developing civilization." "Agreed," Marcus nodded, his crystalline form reflecting the soft blue light of the station. "Operation Bean Snatch will commence in exactly 1 Earth. We'll give them time to adjust, then observe as their society naturally slows to a more reasonable pace." Sarah made one final note in her observation log. "Project status. Proceeding with civilization-wide caffeine extraction. Expected outcome: significant reduction in human hyperactivity and stress level. Potential side effects: temporary discomfort during adjustment period." If only they knew just how wrong that last prediction would turn out to be. At precisely 3:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, when the majority of Earth's coffee-addicted population was asleep, Operation Bean Snatch commenced. The aliens' matter extraction field hummed to life. creating a cascading wave of molecular manipulation that swept across the planet like an invisible extraction beginning in Southeast Asian tea fields, Sarah reported, monitoring the progress. Caffeine molecules successfully separated from plant. Marcus watched in fascination as their screens showed millions of microscopic particles being pulled into their collection vessels. Proceeding to South American coffee plantation, he confirmed, adjusting the field's frequency. Dr. Chen monitored the biological readings from their test sites. Remarkable efficiency. The plants remain completely intact, just decaffeinate. Nature's greatest stimulant, gathered in our containment field. As dawn broke over each time zone, the true chaos began to unfold. In Seattle, barista Jake Mitchell was the first to notice something was wrong. "This can't be right," he muttered, running his third batch of espresso. The machines were working perfectly, but customers were returning their drinks, complaining they felt different. In Mumbai, tea vendor Priya Patel stared in disbelief at her family's century-old tea. The leaves looked the same, steeped the same, but produced only colored water. "Impossible," she whispered, knowing the familiar kick of her morning chai should have jolted her awake by. Back at the observation station, the aliens watched with growing bewilderment as their carefully crafted plan began producing unexpected results. "They should be slowing down by now," Dr. Chen said, puzzled. "Their bodies are clearly registering the absence of caffeine. Instead, humans seem to be moving faster, driven by a collective panic that was spreading across social media platforms at light speed. "Coffeegate is trending," Sarah announced, monitoring global communications, along with tea conspiracy and energy drink emergence. The news headlines flashed across their screen. "Global beverage crisis. Coffee and tea mysteriously altered worldwide energy drink companies' stock prices plummet. As products fail quality tests, caffeine vanishes. Scientists baffled by worldwide phenomena." But what truly shocked the aliens wasn't the panic. They'd expected that. It was what came. "Are they adapting?" Marcus asked incredulously, watching humans react to the crisis. In New York, investment banker Rachel Wong had switched from coffee to running up and down office stairs between meetings. "The adrenaline rush works almost as well," she explained to bewildered colleagues, her suit jacket discarded, hair wild, but somehow more productive than. College students across the world began organizing power nap flash mobs, coordinating their sleep schedules with military precision to maximize their study efficiency. Libraries were transformed into strategic rest and work zones, with students rotating through power nap stations like well-oiled machines. "This isn't right," Dr. Chen muttered, reviewing the biological data. "Their cortisol levels should be dropping, but they're finding new ways to stimulate their bodies naturally." In Tokyo, a group of office workers had transformed their morning commute into a group parkour session. "If we can't have our coffee, we'll make our own energy," their leader shouted, vaulting over a parking. Sarah's tentacles twisted nervously as she compiled the data. "We may have miscalculated. Look at these productivity metrics. They're only down 3.2%. They're compensating through sheer determination." Marcus watched as a group of scientists in Switzerland announced they were investigating the molecular structure of chocolate as an alternative stimulant. "They're not just he realized with growing alarm. "They're innovative." The aliens had expected a gradual slowdown, a return to what they considered a natural state. Instead, humanity seemed to be running on something far more powerful than caffeine. "They can't stop all of us" became a rallying cry across social media, though no one quite knew who they were. Conspiracy theories ranged from government experiments to corporate warfare, but not a single human had guessed that 3 increasingly nervous aliens were watching from their pocket dimension, wondering exactly what they had unleashed. "Perhaps," Sarah suggested carefully, watching a group of yoga enthusiasts teach breathing techniques to former coffee addicts, "we should move to phase 2 of our observation." "You mean the part where we expected them to be gratefully sluggish by now?" Dr. Chen asked sarcastically. "I don't think that's going to happen." Marcus's bioluminescent spots had faded to a concerned pale blue. "Keep monitoring. Surely they can't maintain this intensity without chemical assistance." But as hour 24 of Operation Bean Snatch approached, one thing was becoming terrifyingly clear. They had underestimated humanity's most powerful stimulant, the sheer, stubborn refusal to slow down. By day 7 of what the media had dubbed the Great Caffeine Blackout, humanity had moved beyond panic into something far more interesting: innovation. The United Nations had convened an emergency session, though the proceedings were constantly interrupted by impromptu dance breaks, a new method of keeping delegates alert during long discussions. The Secretary General, caught on camera doing jumping jacks between speeches, simply declared it the new normal. "Look at this," Sarah said, bringing up footage from various cities. "They're turning their entire society upside down rather than slow down." In Silicon Valley, tech companies had installed trampolines between desks. "The up and down motion keeps the blood flowing," explained Jennifer Martinez, a software developer at Google Book, bouncing while coding. "Plus, it's impossible to fall asleep when you're airborne." The fitness industry exploded overnight. Gym memberships quadrupled as people discovered that an intense morning workout could provide the same kick as their former coffee fix. CrossFit enthusiasts were insufferably smug about the whole situation. "They're adapting their architecture," Marcus noted with fascination, watching as office buildings worldwide were hastily retrofitted. Stairs replaced elevators, standing desks became mandatory, and energy rooms filled with exercise equipment replaced break rooms. Dr. Chen's medical monitoring systems were registering unprecedented changes in human behavior patterns. "They're developing entirely new social structures," he reported, reviewing the data. "Look at these wake-up chains." The wake-up chains had started in London, elaborate social networks where people took turns waking each other up with increasingly creative methods. Water guns were popular. So were impromptu brass band performances and friendly neighborhood roosters. "But the most concerning development," Sarah interjected, "is their scientific response." Research laboratories worldwide had shifted focus to understanding the human body's natural energy production. Universities reported record enrollment in biochemistry programs. The energy drink industry, refusing to admit defeat, began marketing caffeine-free energy drinks that were essentially expensive sugar water with motivational messages printed on the cans. "You don't need caffeine, you need rage," read one popular brand, selling millions despite containing nothing but vitamin C and attitude. Marcus monitored social media trends with growing concern. "They're forming support groups, but not the kind we expected." He displayed screenshots of various online communities. Caffeineless victory. Share your natural energy hacks. Sleep is for the weak. Day 15 without coffee. I can now see through time. Conspiracy coffee. Did the dolphins steal our caffeine? Evidence thread. The aliens watched as humans developed increasingly elaborate morning routines to compensate for their missing stimulant. Cold showers became standard. People began keeping small reptiles on their desks, claiming that the fear of your gecko escaping keeps you alert better than any espresso. Some changes were actually positive. Companies reported fewer post-lunch productivity slumps, primarily because everyone was now taking mandatory recharge breaks involving group cardio sessions. The phrase "coffee break" was replaced by "endorphin rush." They've even monetized their adaptation, Sarah noted, bringing up economic data. A new industry of natural energy consultants had emerged, teaching people how to harness their body's own stimulant production. Snake oil salesmen thrived, selling everything from caffeine-free coffee beans, just regular decaf at premium prices, to energy-absorbing crystals, regular rocks with motivational quotes. Dr. Chen's tentacles twisted in professional dismay as he reviewed global health statistics. Their cortisol levels should be normalizing, but instead, they're producing more natural stimulants than ever. They're basically recreating caffeine's effects through sheer willpower and spite. The most bizarre development came from an unexpected quarter. The entertainment industry, late-night show hosts, traditionally fueled by coffee, had taken to performing their monologues while running on treadmills. Reality TV seized the moment with new shows like America's Got Energy and The Great Wakeful Bake-Off. "But here's the truly worrying part," Marcus said, pulling up their latest analysis. "Global productivity hasn't dropped. If anything, some sectors are showing increased efficiency." A deeper dive into the data revealed why. Humans had become radically efficient with their energy expenditure. Without caffeine to prop them up artificially, they learned to strategically deploy their natural energy reserves. Power naps were scheduled with military precision. Social interactions were optimized for maximum endorphin production. Even dating apps had added energy compatibility to their matching algorithms. They're adapting too well, Dr. Chen concluded grimly. This was supposed to help them slow down, not turn them into some kind of naturally optimized superspecies. Sarah's latest report was concerning. They're starting to ask better questions about the caffeine's disappearance. The conspiracy theories are getting uncomfortably close to the truth. A growing number of scientists had begun detecting trace amounts of extra-dimensional energy at coffee plantations and tea fields. Amateur astronomers reported strange distortions in the night sky. A few particularly clever physicists were publishing papers about theoretical matter extraction technologies. So, Marcus asked, his bioluminescent spots pulsing with anxiety. Should we proceed with Phase 3 of the observation? Before anyone could respond, their alarm systems blazed to life. On the main screen, a headline flashed. Breaking. International team of scientists announces major breakthrough in investigation of global caffeine disappearance. The three aliens shared a worried look. Their well-intentioned intervention was about to become a first contact scenario, and humanity wasn't showing any signs of slowing down to appreciate it. Dr. Maya Patel hadn't slept in 48 hours. But, unlike her pre-caffeine crisis days, it wasn't coffee keeping her awake. It was pure scientific excitement. Her team at CERN had detected something unprecedented. Microscopic tears in the fabric of reality, all centered around former caffeine storage facilities. Look at these readings, she told her colleague, Dr. James Wilson, while pacing their lab. Whatever extracted the caffeine wasn't using any technology we know of. These energy signatures suggest some kind of targeted molecular manipulation across multiple dimensions. Meanwhile, in their pocket dimension, the alien observation team was having what humans would call a meltdown. They weren't supposed to figure it out this quickly, Marcus exclaimed, his crystalline form flickering with stress patterns. Their scientific development is accelerating without the caffeine crashes to slow their thinking. Sarah pulled up a global map showing hotspots of investigation. We have teams in Switzerland, Japan, Brazil, and India, all approaching the same conclusion. Without their usual stimulant breaks, they're working in unprecedented continuous stretches. Dr. Chen, monitoring the humans' biological signals, shook his head in disbelief. Their problem-solving abilities are actually improving. Instead of taking coffee breaks, they're taking short meditation sessions that enhance their cognitive function. Back on Earth, a breakthrough was imminent. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, astronomer Dr. Linda Rodriguez had noticed something odd in her telescope data. There's a consistent distortion in space-time just outside our atmosphere, she explained to a room full of increasingly excited scientists. It's as if something's there, but slightly out of phase with our reality. The aliens watched this presentation with growing horror. They've detected the station? Marcus's bioluminescent spots had faded to an anxious pale green. That should be impossible with their current technology. Not impossible, Sarah corrected, reviewing her data. Just highly improbable. But they're not operating within normal human parameters anymore. Without caffeine, they've been forced to optimize their natural mental capabilities. Dr. Chen brought up a new set of readings. We have another problem. Those meditation techniques they've developed, they're accidentally teaching themselves to perceive cross-dimensional energies. 3 Buddhist monks in Tibet have already reported seeing our extraction equipment. The situation reached a critical point when Dr. Patel's team announced they were preparing to attempt communication with whatever had caused the caffeine disappearance. They had rigged a device that could theoretically pierce the dimensional barrier. We need to make a decision, Marcus announced to his team. Do we maintain our observation protocol, or do we initiate first contact procedures? Sarah's analysis was grim. At their current rate of discovery, they'll break through to our dimension within 72 hours. Their sheer determination to understand what happened to their caffeine has accelerated their scientific development by approximately 50 years. Perhaps, Dr. Chen suggested, his medical training coming to the fore, we should admit our mistake before they force the issue. They're proving far more capable than our initial assessment suggested. The decision was made for them when Dr. Patel's team activated their dimensional resonance device. The beam of energy didn't quite pierce their pocket dimension, but it did make the entire observation station vibrate alarmingly. Traditional first contact protocols were not designed for a species this motivated. Marcus noted, watching as humans worldwide coordinated their efforts with remarkable efficiency. They're not going to stop until they get answers. Sarah quickly drafted a report. Subject species has demonstrated unprecedented adaptation to the removal of a major chemical dependency. Rather than experiencing the expected decrease in activity, they have developed advanced interdimensional detection capabilities, optimized their natural biology to compensate for caffeine removal, accelerated their scientific development significantly, maintained and even increased productivity through sheer determination, shown concerning levels of resilience and resourcefulness. Dr. Chen added a medical addendum. The experiment has failed to achieve its primary objective of helping humans adopt a calmer, more balanced lifestyle. Instead, it has revealed that their drive and energy appear to be intrinsic qualities rather than chemically induced states. As they debated their next move, Dr. Patel's voice crackled through their monitoring systems. To whoever or whatever took our caffeine, we know you're there. We don't know why you did this, but we're prepared to talk. And if you're monitoring this, you should know, we've already replicated your molecular extraction technology. We'd just rather discuss this civilly first. Marcus, Sarah, and Dr. Chen shared a look that transcended species. The universal expression of, "Oh, prepare the first contact protocols," Marcus finally ordered. "And perhaps bring some of their caffeine as a peace offering. I have a feeling we're going to need." The first official meeting between human and alien representatives took place in a hastily prepared conference room at the United Nations. The human delegation, led by Maya Patel, had insisted on holding the meeting at 7 a.m., a time they knew would historically have been impossible without caffeine. It was a power move, and the aliens, Marcus, Sarah, and Dr. Chen, materialized in their crystalline forms, holding a large container of the stolen caffeine as a piece. They found themselves facing a panel of surprisingly alert humans who had apparently prepared for the meeting with a combination of power naps, synchronized jumping jacks, and sheer determination. "So," Dr. Patel began, maintaining unnervingly direct eye contact with Marcus, "you're the ones who decided to stage an intervention for our entire species." "We were concerned about your dependency," Marcus explained, his bioluminescent spots shifting nervously. "Our observations suggested that your society was becoming dangerously overstimulated." Sarah pulled up a holographic chart. "Your caffeine consumption had reached levels that we had chosen for ourselves," interrupted Dr. Rodriguez, the astronomer who'd first detected their state. She was doing squats behind her chair while speaking, a new normal that made the aliens deeply uncomfortable. Dr. Chen attempted to explain their medical concerns, but was cut off by Dr. Wilson, who had taken up juggling stress balls to maintain focus. "Did it occur," he asked, catching all three balls without looking, "that perhaps we understood our own species better than you?" The aliens shared a concerned look as Dr. Patel stood up to pace the room, another human adaptation that had become commonplace in the caffeine-free. "Let me tell you what we've learned about ourselves in the past month," she said. "Without caffeine, we didn't slow down. We didn't become calm. Instead, we discovered that what you saw as a dependency was actually just one of many tools we use to express our natural state of being." "Your natural state of being is chaos," Marcus suggested diplomatically. "Exactly," Dr. Patel exclaimed, now doing subtle desk push-ups while maintaining eye contact. "We're not driven by we're driven by curiosity, by challenge, by the sheer stubborn desire to keep moving forward. Caffeine just helped us do what we already wanted to." Sarah's data analysis tentacles curled in embarrassment as she reviewed the latest human productivity reports. Their efficiency has actually increased by 7% since our intervention. "Because you gave us a problem to solve," Dr. Rodriguez explained, finally sitting down but still bouncing slightly in her chair. "Humans don't slow down when you take away their tools. We just make new." Dr. Chen's medical monitors were registering unprecedented levels of natural endorphins in the human delegation. "But surely this level of constant activity isn't helpful." "That's where you made your biggest mistake," Dr. Wilson chimed in. "You assumed that because your species needs periods of complete calm, ours must too. But humans are persistence predators by evolution. We're literally built." The aliens watched in fascination as the human delegation demonstrated their new caffeine-free morning routine, a combination of breathing exercises, physical movement, and social interaction that produced nearly the same biochemical effects as their former coffee dependence. We've learned something, Marcus admitted, his crystalline form shifting to a more humble configuration. We thought we were helping you break free from a chemical dependency. But instead, Sarah continued, we accidentally proved that human drive and energy are fundamental traits rather than artificial stimulation. Though we have to admit, Dr. Patel added with a grin, we still really want our caffeine back. These morning calisthenics are getting a bit ridiculous. The aliens proceeded to return Earth's caffeine supply, watching in mixed awe and horror as Dr. Wilson immediately produced a French press from his briefcase and began brewing coffee right there in the conference. We may keep some of our new habits, Dr. Rodriguez mused, accepting a freshly brewed cup. The morning dance parties have been surprisingly effective for team. As the humans enjoyed their first caffeinated beverages in a month, Marcus delivered their official apology. On behalf of our observation team, we apologize for our presumptuous intervention in your society. We've learned valuable lessons about making assumptions across species, and we've learned that we're even more adaptable than we thought. Dr. Patel responded, savoring her first sip of real coffee in weeks. Though maybe next time you want to study us, just ask. We're actually quite friendly when we're properly caffeinated. The meeting concluded with an unprecedented exchange of scientific knowledge, the humans sharing their insights into natural energy optimism, while the aliens provided information about dimensional physics, carefully edited to avoid any more molecular extraction. As the aliens prepared to depart, Dr. Patel had one last question. Just out of curiosity, how does your species stay energy? The aliens exchanged glances before Sarah answered. We actually absorb energy directly from background radiation, much calmer than your method. Sounds boring, Dr. Wilson muttered into his third cup of coffee. Back in their observation station, the aliens wrote their final report. Conclusion: human energy and drive are not, as previously assumed, dependent on chemical stimulation. Their remarkable adaptability and persistence appear to be core species. Recommendation: classify humans as persistently energetic. Handle with caution. Additional note: never, under any circumstances, attempt to modify their beverage supplies again. As they watched Earth return to its caffeinated normal, humans kept many of their new adaptations, morning exercise routines, meditation breaks, and the occasional spontaneous dance party. Coffee shops added power nap pods next to their espresso bars, and productivity actually increased now that humans had both their natural adaptations and their beloved caffeine. The aliens, for their part, learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of making assumptions about other species. They also developed a new appreciation for the human ability to turn any challenge, even the loss of their most beloved stimulant, into an opportunity for growth, innovation, and really weird workout routines. And somewhere in Tibet, 3 monks continued to wave cheerfully at the alien observation station every morning, just to keep them on their